Welcome to Down and Down, a rabbit hole podcast. And we're going to start off with the most important one of the main two of us, and that's me. My name's Jack.
White
And
privilege.
that's right. Uh, Yellow. I'm a
Yellow
yellow
privilege. That's my
jackalope.
bad.
Um,
That's my
and
bad.
then, and we have some special guests with us. Returning with us is Beverly.
Hey, Suge.
Hey, always with the Southern Belle. Hey, Sue. Um, and Buck, I'll let you introduce.
We got my friend Iggy here. How's it going?
Howdy. How you doing, Buck? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. And
Mhm.
then, since she's
And
your
then
friend,
Beverly, and I was gonna say Beverly. I'm the I went out. I mean, I guess I brought Beverly technically, but I'm not one out because everybody else bringing friends. Um, Beverly, you introduce us to your friend.
This right here is my favorite of my favorites. My boo thing, Ellie Cat.
Hi, y'all. This is my
Hey.
first time. Be nice to me.
Like a virgin. All right,
just so you know, if we make fun of you, it's because we're being nice to you.
because we like you.
Okay. Isn't it toxic? That's a difference.
Listen,
It's love
there's an
bombing.
antidote for every toxin.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about racial relations and really, I guess, what would you call that? The Black experience? The
Yeah.
Blaxperience? I don't know. Uh,
I don't like that
but-
one.
you don't like that one? Why
The Black
not?
Spirit.
The Blaxperience sounds like an incredible 3-day music festival in Atlanta, though.
You know what? It kind of does, don't it?
These heavy
Definitely.
hitters.
Did
They
you
get R.
sneak
Kelly
me
out
in?
of prison.
Listen, not R. Kelly.
Ups and alls. Definitely an event.
Oh, okay. Let's get into the rabbit hole.
Down and down the rabbit hole. Just how deep does it go? Where it stops, nobody knows. So let's go down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole.
Okay, so clearly, Buck and I are the only ones of the less melanated.
Our
What would you?
light-skinned brethren.
We the light skinned brother.
This
Yeah,
is
that's-
news to me.
I don't know why, because it ain't news to the rest of us that's got eyeballs. We see clearly, friend, even in the dark when you're around. So my first question, I guess, I watched a lot of videos and did some research trying to find some good content to at least get us kicked off with. And this one kind of came up. Do you think that we are obsessed with race in America?
Absolutely.
Like, in what way?
I think the way that everything is portrayed has some type of context of where you're from, where you grew up, and what you look like. And always what you look like always comes first. Um, even with even if we just like right now in just the tones of voice and the way that we speak, somebody's already picturing what that person looks like on the other side. So
I'm guilty of that.
it happens a lot. Even before we even really get to know the person, we already kind of have a projection of what we think they have in the context of like day-to-day life, how they react. So it is a big thing here in America, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that. Especially because a lot of people in America use race as a form of division. Or why my group of people is superior to yours, or why I'm cooler than you, or why I set the tone in this I guess industry or culture.
Iggy, what do you think, man?
Man, I think nobody in America is from America. So it's like that's why we're obsessed with race. Like everybody's got roots in Europe and Asia, Africa, and everywhere
True
else.
statement.
So you know
Which
what I
is where
mean?
you actually like you were
Yeah,
born in
yeah.
Africa, right? You were
I was
born in
born in
Tanzania, right?
Africa. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And the thing is, like my parents are from the same tribe, miles and miles away from each other. But yeah, like my great grandparents and great grandparents, like they were all from the same. I grew up around Mount Kilimanjaro. Well, they were born around Mount Kilimanjaro and raised there, and so I wasn't born there. I was born in the city. But yeah, like did my family didn't travel? Like my parents were the first. Like our family was the first family to travel outside of the country. So
Oh wow.
so it's one of those things. It's like man,
Pioneers.
America. You talk to anybody. You talk to your neighbor. Like just like my neighbors alone. Like nobody. I don't think anybody is from the state that we currently live in.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's true. Like, my dad's side, we came over here from England, like I think sometime in the 1800s. So, I mean, obviously that goes back a little further, but Jack, what is yours? Like, you guys came from
All over.
yeah, but like
I
Ireland,
mean,
right?
so we have, well, my father's surname is English because it's named after a place in England. They then went to Scotland and lived for a while, and then they went to Ireland before they came here. Um, and somewhere along this line, I picked up some African. So when I did my test, I got like 3 to 5% in there. Listen, I don't
It's
even know.
all in your lips.
So I don't know.
You know what? You know what? I've heard enough. You can celebrate Black History Month with us. All right.
Okay. Listen,
We still have a couple of weeks left. I need you to party with us.
Jack has always been invited to the cookout.
Yeah,
Always.
that's what I was
I'm
about
Always.
to say.
I'm working on an invite. I
If
still
you have
haven't
to
gotten
work on
one.
it, if you have to work on it,
No,
you ain't
you
invited.
Keep
got your
working.
That's all I
invite, but
know.
you were just
Keep
instructed to
working.
bring the plates to the cups,
I told
not the
you
rice and peeled
I
potato
like
salad.
seasoning. I like seasoning.
He likes
Salt
it.
ain't the only seasoning.
And you know, and that's
But
why we're not inviting you to the cookout. Because you gotta it's not
the
enough to like
question
it. You gotta earn.
the
Question.
question is, Buck, is how much do you season?
And is salt the only seasoning?
No, absolutely not.
When do
A
you
lot.
stop seasoning? When do
Okay.
you stop seasoning?
And the
That's
answer
the
to this question is going to determine if you come into the cookout or not.
yes. When do you stop seasoning?
I like it to be sharp tasting. Does that make sense? Like,
Nope.
That's the
No,
wrong answer.
that's
what
wrong
you mean?
answers.
You
What
can
would the
season
right
it
one
until
be?
your ancestors reach down from heaven and
See,
grab your
Jack
hand.
knew because Jack
Jack got it.
cooking in that
Your
spirit.
ancestors got to tell you when to stop.
Okay.
Oh my
And
God.
when they don't say nothing, then you don't stop.
That's
Oh,
true.
fine. This is racism.
Well,
And it's so
Um,
funny 'cause for
It's
y'all
part
to
of
be
the
related, y'all was complete.
Yeah.
ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
oh no. Okay. So let's get back on topic. With the obsession of race. So do you think one side is more, or multiple sides are more obsessed with that than some of the others? I say that because really we here talk mainly about two races, but let's not pretend like there's not several.
I think the narrative has changed now. I think all races talk about the other race in their own type of way or form. Like when I sit here and I think of my mom and I just talk about just different perspectives. She always has a mindset of what's going to come to happen based on what she's probably seen, has been around, what she's
Mm.
saw on television, and it's like it's crazy in what she would be able to say on it. And in your mindset of what we talk about in maybe a traditional Black home, it could be completely flipped, but the same conversation is happening in a white Caucasian or in a Spanish home, because colorism is across all races, even into a point where if you even look at in the African American community, you know, the color of your skin is also a different level of what you may react and what kind of experience you may have. I don't know if it's so much on, you know, when it comes to like Caucasian homes or anything like that, but you know, you got the light skin method where a guy could be light skinned and how they may act cooler or like more suave or a little bit more feminine, and you got like the dark skinned guy is supposed to be more, you know, manly, more buck, more aggressive in that sense right there. And it's just a perspective of where that comes from. So it's those conversations happen across so many different levels where it doesn't matter who you're talking about, there's going to be some type of ideal of what you're looking at and what could come from it.
So that's interesting because I actually have this on my list is do you believe that colorism exists among Black people?
Absolutely. And not just Black people, in Spanish households too. I think Jack, you and I were watching a video about it was a darker skinned young lady. She was Dominican and she was treated differently
Yep.
Versus her lighter skinned counterpart. She was
Mm-hmm.
deemed as more attractive, more marketable, you know, versus her counterpart that was more melanated. So it absolutely exists.
Yep. Even in Spanish homes, in Asian homes, the darker your skin is, it's like it gets more to like physical work. You're out in the sun too much. It's not as pretty. You know, I look at a lot of different Korean dramas and like J attributes, and you don't see a lot of darker skin. What's the best way I could say? Darker skin characters to it without a bad connotation of what may to follow. Maybe they're a gangster, a thug, or something like that, or they're not as sophisticated. They don't speak as clearly, and that comes with the color of skin. What can they be able to do? Even when it comes to like celebrities in those cultures, they'll be in the like they whiten their skin to be lighter and straighten their hair so they could be more beautiful to the society and what it feels like is beauty, those beauty standards.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from within like a race or that culture, or do you feel like what do you think?
I think it comes from just imagery, man. Like we grow up with imagery, you know. Like and you mentioned Jesus. Everybody has an image in their mind of what Jesus looks like, based on, you know, books that they've read and kids' Bibles and pictures on walls at grandma's houses and churches. So I think all that stuff together, and I think everybody kind of, you even kids, like I have kids, and like watching them observe other people and other people's experiences and, you know, physical features and hair and all that, like they ask about that. So I think it's just something that we're all, I mean, you know, the moment you realize like, oh, people look different from me, I think that's something that we're all kind of, you know, the wheels start turning from there, and I don't think they stop. And then I mean, it also is in conversations too. You know, you mentioned somebody's really pretty. Like I have daughters, and they're like, oh, I want my hair to be, you know, I want straight hair is pretty hair. I'm like, wait, where did you hear that? And I guess they just have this idea of what they think pretty hair is, and I'm like, well, I think curly hair is pretty hair. And so they're like, no, that's different. So, but also, I mean, she's 4. So I'm like, when in the world did you have an opinion? Or like, who roasted your hair? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what other little kid do I need to fight in front of you? But no, I think that's just something just from within, or, you know, somehow. So.
This is a thing though that kind of is, and I think y'all are kind of hitting on this, that it's kind of tends to be a worldwide thing because there are cultures like a lot of Asian cultures have whitening soap. Now we don't really have that. We don't really push that in the U.S. But there are places
Big in Africa, huge in Africa.
Really,
Jamaica,
really,
huge. Yeah. I have multiple aunts who who they get more and more light skinned every time I see them.
They put like
Wow.
bleaching.
Yeah,
They add
yeah,
like
yeah.
bleach and whitening inside of
Yeah.
their like skincare products,
Hmm.
inside of the makeup. Some of them
There's
like
also pills.
or they'll
Really?
choose to like do a lighter tone of makeup than what their actual skin looks like because they
And don't
feel
match
like
their
it'll
neck.
So
yeah, it don't. And that's how you tell. The ears and the neck.
so darker
Nah, they
skinned
just
people
wear
are trying to
turtlenecks year
get
round.
darker skinned people are trying to get lighter skin in some places, and then us white people will be laying in tanning beds to get darker all the time.
Listen,
Mhm.
I know I took some keratin pills to see if it would give me some kind of a tan. And
Did it
it
work?
didn't work, and I was like, no. I was like, well, I'm
Man,
not wasting my money on this because it was a lot of
you might
money.
be. That's like your
Mhm.
whiteness is like a superpower.
Listen, I'm a glow
Untreatable.
stick. I'm a glow stick.
Jack's got black
Uh,
immunity.
right.
No, I
It
think
is.
I mean, Buck nailed it. I think the fact that people are, laying out in the sun, and then there are, white people laying out in the sun, and you have brown, black people, people of color who will actively avoid the sun because they're like, I don't get to. I
Mhm.
remember my mom telling me that one time,
Yeah.
like when I was a kid in Africa. My mom was like, yeah, "You need to stay inside. You're getting dark. You're getting too dark. Stay out in the sun." I was like,
Wow.
"Well, I want to play with my friends." I mean, it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me, but I was like, that's a price to pay, I guess.
So, Iggy, when did you come here?
I moved to the States when I was 2 years old. And
Oh,
then I
okay.
moved back to Africa when I was 11 with my
I
family.
got you. I got
So
you.
from 1 to 2, and then 11 to 18, I was
So
there,
you were back and forth,
back and
kind
forth.
of.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Okay. So so if you have darker skinned people trying to get paler, and you have paler skinned people trying to get darker, are we trying to all just look
Look
Hispanic? I
alike.
mean, what is our goal?
Yeah.
I want
What?
to
I
put
don't
them all in
know.
the same room together and figure out like talk to them
There's
in
a South
person.
there's a
I thought
South
you were
Park
saying black and white.
episode. There's
What
a
you say,
South
Allie?
Park episode where there's like people that come from the future and everybody has completely like meshed to one skin tone. And I thought that was like really crazy because nobody was dark, nobody was like everybody was exactly the same like color shade of each other, had no hair, and that's what the future looks like because I think eventually we are going to just mix to where it's going to form fit one tone, one look or one way. But until it gets there, it's like everybody's trying to be
Yeah.
each other.
What's that
Yeah.
sound like, Buck?
What does it
I had
sound like?
I had a story at one point that
That's
called
what came to mind. I want to make sure that's
the
what you're
perfect
talking about.
race, the perfect race, and the whole idea was like it takes place in this kind of dystopian like future, and this guy ends up traveling there, and everybody's like one race, and if you don't fit in with this perfect, and that's what it was like this
What was weird is the
olive
race.
race.
Yeah, they looked very similar to what you just described.
Yep, they did,
Hmm.
and in it, and if you didn't fit that, then you were sent to the mines to like work because you didn't fit in with society.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
I feel like the biggest, I mean, the real the only person winning in most race conversations is capitalism. This is like you got people
Facts.
selling tanning beds, and you also got people selling, selling skin whitening cream and pills and soaps. So it's like, all right, somebody's making money from both of these people trying to sell, this um, um, unrealistic beauty standard. Well, an alter, an alternative beauty standard.
Hmm. I
and so
agree.
you kind of like stammered on altar, and I thought we were going another. I was like, thought you were talking
Oh,
about the altar of worshiping our skin, and I
oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
you because I think there is a part that kind of happens here where we end up kind of almost deifying sometimes our images, and we make
yeah,
a God in our own image versus
Yeah.
being made in God's
it does
image.
feel like from the white perspective, like so it's kind of tough because I don't like having like feel like I have to dance around the topic of race, but I always worry that I'm gonna like offend somebody. Like that's really the only time that I think about it. However, it comes up a good bit in my mind because
Only white people are dancing around the topic. That's all I need you to know. Every other
Facts.
I mean,
culture,
Mhm.
every other skin tone, every country, the worst racism I've ever heard was from family, like my uncles
Yes.
in Africa. Like
Mhm.
the wildest statements
and
ever.
and the black people in my life
It's a
generally
question I have.
like say that. Like most of the time I don't really like come across anybody that I actually do offend. Most of the time the people that I offend with anything that I say when it comes to anything controversial about race are white people. Um and so it kind of sucks because I feel like we're just in this state to where we're it's almost like society wants us to be divided, if that makes sense. Like, and I would rather
They
just be
clearly do.
friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And if I have a question to ask or like about a perspective, I'd like to know, like, if I ask somebody that, they're going to know that I'm coming from a real, like, genuine place of curiosity rather than, oh, you should have educated yourself. That was like a really racist thing to say. Um, I haven't really ever gotten that from black or Hispanic or Asian people, but
I wanna hit on two things that were said um, a little bit. I want to come back to where when you said that you want to be friends with everybody, because I feel like there was a time when we were growing up that that was possible a little more
yeah,
now than it is now. But kind of going with the whole um, idea that you felt like you may have been maybe judged more. Let me ask you, let me just put it in the question form. Do you feel like you've been more judged by blacks or by whites in your lives?
I would probably say white people.
I'm not
Um,
talking to you.
oh, well, you said things about like what I said, so I
I
thought
know.
you were asking me particularly.
Uh,
Also, I knew this question was on there, and I was not paying attention.
like judged in what way?
I mean, you talked about how you talked about with your family and things like that,
Yeah.
and you're saying only the whites are the ones that dance around it.
Oh, well, I guess. I mean, I was like, I feel like, uh, uh, um, I guess there's a lot of concern, I guess, from y'all's part. I don't know. Like, I feel like with black people to describe, hey, I went to this band, I ran into an Asian guy at the store. I think he was from Japan or something, and da, 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 and his accent, da da da, and he said this, and he didn't speak English good. Like, they would just explain that story how they would. Like,
Mhm.
there's not any type of like, oh, do I need to? I can't say that. It's like, no, I'm telling you exactly what happened. There's not a, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm describing another person, and
Sure.
these stereotypes or whatever is what they were. But I feel like
Right.
with most people are like, oh, I need to try to, especially with white people, I need to let me be careful. I don't want to offend them. You're like, offend who?
Beverly, you
Yeah, I
look like
think.
you had something you wanted to. I'm sorry,
Uh,
Alec.
no, you're
Oh, I
good.
feel like white people tiptoe around race a whole lot more than black people. But if we're talking about what race, I mean, if we're talking about what type of judgment, I feel like me personally, I feel like black people are very judgmental towards one another and other races,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's
Mhm.
more
yeah,
so in reference to like economic status, appearance, things of that nature, not necessarily like, you know, oh, look at that Spanish girl, I'm better than her. I don't really get exposed to that very often, but like listening to other black people, like groups of black people,
yeah.
typically they judging somebody.
Oh yeah.
Definitely,
Just in
I
my
agree.
experience.
Hmm.
Just in
It
my
just
experience.
it just comes when I think when you're in like a minority setting, it's like a familiarity to it. Like, oh well, you're around black people, so black people are going to be more open about what they feel about the person, and they may say something that's completely rude, but it's completely a visual of them, like what they look
Yeah.
like. Like they'll start calling out physical features of that person and be able to like dig. Because I mean, growing up, you really have to stand on business. Like you're going at each other. Like I've had two different sides where my mom tried to put me in like really good schools, really good preschools. When I went to First Baptist Church, which was an all white church. I was the only black girl in my grade and in my class.
The one
And then
chocolate chip.
I'm just the one chocolate chip. and and then to flip that, because we lived in, I guess what you would call the hood, and now I'm in here with all these, ghettofied people around me. And I can say that just because of how they talk and how they act and where they kind of like hold themselves. And, ghettos are everywhere. They could be black, Spanish, white, like everybody has a ghetto in some type of level. But it's completely two different culture shocks where I'm trying to exist in both lights. And it's like, I don't fit in with the people in my neighborhood because my mom was a teacher. I was very sheltered. I would go to school with all these proper, really, put together kids. And then I would also get the flip side of where I would go to school and I'm completely by myself. And, you just kind of get hit. I think the first time I really got hit with the difference of me being um a black child was when I was supposed to go, like one of my best friends, we hung out all the time and she had a birthday party and she asked me, could she go? And I was like, can I go to the birthday party? And her mom walks up to her. She's like, no, she can't go. And she tells her, she's like, yeah, because she's a little black girl and she doesn't need to go. And the little girl came back and told me, and she's like, you can't come because mama said that you're black. And I told my mama, I was like, but I'm not black, I'm purple. And because I didn't understand the context of like what was
Yeah.
really going on, that there was
Right.
racism happening in the school and how it was projected. Because all the kids were like, we were chilling, we were fine, but it was in like little moments like that was like, I see that I'm different. And then go to where I'm in my community and around all these kids that are way more active, way more aggressive than what I am. I'm very timid. And now they're
Yeah.
picking on me because I'm square, I'm stuck up, because I don't speak like them, I don't talk like them, I don't look like them, I don't hold myself in the same way. So it's kind of like you can be an outcast on both sides, even though you're still part of the group in some case. So it's
You
very
talk too
different
white, Ellie.
experiences.
You talk too white. You talk like
Listen,
a white girl.
my mother taught me diction.
Wait,
No.
wait. Isn't it? You're very articulate. What is
That,
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
oh,
It's
you
more
talk like a
passive
white
aggressive.
girl. That's what the black kids say. You talk like a white girl.
Yeah.
Right. You talk like a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, baby, that's got me one of the jobs I've had.
Facts.
So
All right.
I don't mind it.
So
You mean because I speak with proper
Hi, I'm
English?
Allison. Ooh, hi, I'm Allie. How you doing?
so has this ever made any of you like ever wish to be a different race or even a different
No.
tone?
No. Me personally, no. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I've always liked my caramel pecan.
My caramel.
I've never wanted to be another race, but I've
That's
always
the
fit
darkest
in.
caramel I have ever seen.
Listen, ain't nobody asked for your
Somebody
opinion,
burnt
Jay.
that caramel.
That just means it's a little bit extra rich, okay?
It's
So
very
mind
rich.
your
I didn't
business.
say it wasn't tasty.
But-
I just said.
But to piggyback off what you were saying, Allie, like I can definitely relate. I've always kind of had that definitive line of I don't really fit in over here, but I don't really fit in over there. However, I will say I've always felt more accepted, more easily able to open up and be myself around white people.
Mhm.
And I've always had to be more selective about the black people that I am allowing to be in my space. I think that's why we clicked so well when we first met, is because we both kind of shared that, oh, you ain't allowed, kiddo. BITC.
That is true
You know what I'm saying?
statement.
Because a lot of people really do perpetuate the stereotype of everything negative about
Mhm.
a black woman or a black man. And that is the complete opposite of who I am as an individual. I'm a very strong, smart, amazing black woman. And none of that has anything to do with the fact that, I'm loud or You know, I mean, I can be a little loud, but it ain't got nothing to do with like
Passionate. It's passionate. It's not loud.
I mean, I feel like
Two
you
can be
being an
true at the
amazing,
same time.
I feel like you being such a magnetic person, your race has nothing to do with that for me.
Mhm.
Like, does that make sense? Like, I mean, yeah, you're
Yes.
black, but like,
You put the
I
on there too.
a hard
hard
ER.
hard K,
The hard K
hard
on there. He
K.
said, "Yeah,
Um,
you're black."
I
um,
think he was trying to
I
emphasize the fact that you
I
called me
did not realize it
terrible.
did that. No, but like, I mean, I've come across black people that get on my nerves. I've come across white people that get on my nerves. I've come across, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who you
Mhm.
are and how you act is going to be what gravitates me towards you. And like,
Sometimes the white ones that get on my nerves is worse because I'm like,
yeah,
y'all supposed to be representing my race over here, you nasty rednecks.
yeah. So Iggy, I want to kind of on this whole judgmental, I mean, like judging each other kind of thing. So I do a podcast for some people that have a mixed family. And one time we did a podcast that they talked about how they, as black men who are married to white women, get really judged by other black people for marrying white women. Do you ever feel like that from anybody? Like that? Like, is that something you've ever experienced?
Uh, yeah. Um, I'm gonna be honest, man. I just don't really care. Like,
That's such a
like,
great response.
yeah, it's just it does come from all sides, man. Like for white people, from some like African family, like extended family. It's like, hey, I don't know what to tell you.
Did
We're here.
is it like they say a lot of stuff? They say stuff to you, or is it like you notice the stares and stuff places?
There's that. I think some people, I think in my wife knew before we got married, where there was a person who she used to go to this church, and somebody from that church reached out and was like, "Hey, what's this I see on Facebook about you and this black fella?" And she was like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend." And then this gentleman was like, "Well, I don't agree with it, but." So I was like, "Hey, man, good thing it's not 1692."
I would really love to know how long it had been since that person had actually talked to your wife.
But you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that like he'd said that my wife and I we got married, and I think he had reached out. He was an older gentleman. He's probably in his I think like 70s or 80s. And my wife invited him out to, hey, let's go get ice cream all together. And so we went, and I met him. Shook his hand, and we ate ice cream. And maybe he left. He didn't say anything racist. I don't know if you can be racist while eating ice cream, but after we left, I remember just thinking like maybe I don't know if he still agrees with it or if he still disagrees with it. If he doesn't agree with it, but I'm like, I don't know. He saw us. It's not like we're just two humans
Yeah.
Yeah.
married to each other. I don't. When people bring up, oh, it's racist, like I'm not like extra black around that.
Yeah.
She's not extra. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're doing dishes and doing laundry and raising kids and grocery shopping. So it's like, I don't know.
Uh, Beverly Alley, is that something you guys feel like if you guys ever dated a white guy, do you feel like that'd be something you get backlash for?
Most definitely.
Yeah, I think when it comes, I've talked to like nothing like serious, but I've had talking stages with different races, and when you're out and about, it's more so of the looks and the stares, and it's mainly from like you know same culture. Black guys will come up and be like, "Yo, what y'all doing?" And like, "You really like her? Like, you think you can handle that type?" And it's kind of like a body check because it's like, it's not the fact that you would talk to me if I was separate. It's the fact that you see who I'm with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a challenge of, not necessarily you should be with your own, but I can take you from him. It's kind of like in that same
Oh,
situation. And
wow. Like an
then
entitlement kind of thing?
kind of. That's just something that I've experienced before. And then it's like, now it's a challenge of men and, why, how did you get her or something like that. That's just happened to me like long time about when. But I definitely have seen that. And then you have like different type of mindsets. Like I was saying, like if I sit here and I talk to like different family members with their perception of what it's like to be with that other race, that opinion comes out a lot more of like, oh, if you date this person, this is what's going to happen to you, or you see what's going on. Like, it's not necessarily that it's true. It's just the stereotype that comes to it. And now that you're with this person, this is the outcome that's going to happen to you. And it's never in like the best form of what's going on. It's always like the most terrible thing. Like he's a serial killer, or he's going to be like he's going to cheat on you
Molly.
with 1,000
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like it's always like a negative connotation. It's never like your credit's going to get better, or you're going to be able to, toss it down for years. It's never like that. It's always like detriment of you dating a different race. So, and then there's always connotations if you're dating, your own race. So I feel like it's kind of like a catch-22 where somebody's always going to say something, no matter who you're with. It's just more vocal if they look so much different from you.
Yeah.
I want to turn that same stuff on you and I though, Buck, because we've been grilling them about it. But
Sure.
I mean, how do you feel like in your family if you had brought home
Oh,
a
I don't know.
female
I
of
don't have to
color?
feel. I know. I know. So I know it wouldn't be met with the greatest of reactions. Because I've asked the question before, and I mean, I never dated a black girl, like in high school or college or anything like that. My high school had only like 10 black people in it anyway. Because we lived in
Caucus.
Redneckville. But yeah, Caucus University, Caucus High School.
You
But here's the thing. I don't really believe my family overall is a racist family. And let me
Yeah.
explain. Like, I don't think they have any like ill will or feeling of superiority towards black people specifically, because I mean, let's face it, when racism is talked about, most of the time it is a matter of black versus white. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, there are other forms of racism, but this is the one that is most prevalent in conversation. Um, but I was told that it would there would be disagreement if I ever brought a black girl home as a girl that I was dating. And I will say, as a kid, I actually believed that like marriage was sinful. And
Mhm.
like I had no like I had no other reason other than just being told like, yeah, that's just not something you're supposed to do. And I never really understood that. I had no like negative feelings towards other races or anything like that, but I just thought that's the way it was. And I think a lot of people have that same experience with, especially within southeastern white culture.
Yeah,
um like
most
uh
definitely.
like they're not really racist, but there are some like racist, like, kind of
It's
cultural
ignorance.
thing. Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
saying that. No, it's insultingly.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
No, you're
just
absolutely right.
lack of,
Like,
yeah.
and I realized pretty early on. I mean, I was probably in like late elementary school when I was like, this isn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Interracial marriage being a sin, not really a thing. And then when I was in high
But
school,
it was a thing that, because I will second that we would use things like, well, God wanted to make sure his bloodline was pure, what's that got to do with us? Not one daggum
yeah.
different
Well, I
thing.
mean,
And I'm gonna tell you,
that
I know that it probably would have been some kind of an issue bringing in especially like a black girl, because I brought home a Hispanic. I brought home a Latina. And they were like, oh, I remember I was like, I remember when I first met Jill, and I was like, there's this girl at school. She was in college. We was in college. I was like, I was like, she is so pretty. She is fine. I didn't say fine to my mama, but that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. And I said, I don't know what she is, but she's some kind of Hispanic. That's what I said.
And she was way more tan back then too.
Where, yeah, if you've met her now, she blames me for her looking like she's from the Caucasus Mountains.
Just because you don't spend any time in the sun, so she doesn't spend any time in the
I can't do
sun.
that because if I go look, it might be nice to go into the sun and come out brown or bronzy. I go in and I come out looking like a cooked lobster. And so
It's the truth.
we don't do a whole lot of sun stuff. She loves to be out in the sun, but yeah, it's caused her to be pale. But I know from that, I had a cousin um, who knew that my wife was adopted. All right, and he said something like, "Oh, that's rough because you're supposed to look at their mama to know what she's going to look like when she grows older." He didn't know at this time that she was Latina when he said, she might be a big fat Mexican woman. And I stopped and I go, well, she's Venezuelan. And the whole room just shuts down. So I'm like, I know bringing that in would have probably caused some issues, you know.
And then
I want to hit on one other thing that we've kind of passed, but I feel like because they were talking about how white people feel like they have to tiptoe. And I feel like it is because white people feel like they have to tiptoe more so than I think, because in this culture, we're told that you're racist if you say anything and so it's treated in a way that like you're worse if you say it than we are if we say it. But we know that everybody says it, but I'm going to tell you at home we say that stuff. I said it. And Beverly has been in my house enough to know I don't hold no punches in my house. I will say what I'm going to say. But I will also say,
he just ain't out here throwing the N-word around. Let's just get that together.
no, I don't be doing that.
Not intentionally offensive.
We're talking about openly having dialogue.
I'm talking about having dialogue, and I'm talking about, but like y'all are talking, how y'all will be like they might be a little more judgmental, not necessarily in a throw in a slurs or anything like that, but that you will, if your wig is bad and you black, I'm still gonna clock your wig. You know,
and if you white, baby, we gonna clock that too.
And I'm gonna clock it too. If you look like you come on TV looking like a hot mess or whatever, or if you out in public and you in your bonnet and we supposed to be a nice place, I'm gonna clock it. It doesn't matter what color you come on.
Okay, your bonnet and your pajamas are not meant to leave the house.
And your blanket and fuzzy slippers.
Right. Okay. Come out looking like you was raised with some dignity. But Beverly has been with our family enough to know, like when we go out, Jill and I, when we go out, people already look at us less now because she is paler. But when Beverly is out with our family, we garner all kinds of looks.
Because they trying to figure out the dynamic.
They're trying to figure out this
dynamic.
Really
who is what? They got a whole throuple happening. It's like
right. There's a white man, a Latina girl, a black girl. There's 11 children.
And then some white, some brown, some
it's United Nations
black.
Right here.
Listen, we just look at people like you can come eat with us too.
Okay. But please do not stare. You can speak, you can ask questions, but please do not stare, baby.
It's the
because we're gonna get rude. Don't stare at me.
It gets a little tricky.
Yeah. Let's talk about like racism itself. Let's there's been a lot of like I've seen not a lot, but I've seen like several people like black people say that it's not really possible for white people to experience racism. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think what we get familiarized with is that because there's been so much oppression to minorities that we have the right to say our piece a lot more vocally, which it just becomes like that's a more ignorant side of just saying like you can be mean to somebody just because of what's happened. I think there's a type of respect that you're supposed to have towards anybody, but no matter what their race is. But it definitely becomes more of where how are you handling some of that, because I feel like a lot of that's like channeled from past situations of where it's been given, and then it makes it more accepting to be able to be the aggressor on the other side, like, oh, I've been hurt, I've been treated this way, so this gives me the right to be able to act this way towards this race of people. And they shouldn't say anything because their ancestors did this to my ancestors, and I'm just gonna give it back. And I think that's not a right way to be able to kind of handle it, you know.
Do you think white people
Hey,
have a responsibility to, like, their ancestors, the things that they actually did do? Do you feel like we're responsible for that as their descendants at all?
I think it's white people's responsibility to know the history from it,
Sure.
because that creates the reaction. That's where a lot of minorities and black cultures get to it, because a lot of white people will try to be oblivious to what's going on, or like it never happened, or try to like wipe
Yeah.
it underneath the rug. But then as soon as the time comes to be able to kind of point it out, that could be a reason why this doesn't happen. Like, just with the things that we have going on in America, where it creates equality between different minorities and races, now is, let's get rid of that because we're all the same people. And you want to forget, what have we fought for to be equal? Why is it a reason that these things are in place on like a government level to be able to
Mm.
give people the same opportunity? Because just like Beverly was saying earlier, you know, and myself included, we've been able to get past certain hurdles because of our conversation, how we speak. Maybe even just seeing my name on a piece of paper, it doesn't look like Shaniqua Lewis. It looks
Not
more.
Shaniqua Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, you see a Shaniqua, you gonna know what you're gonna get for Shaniqua. Or you're gonna have a perception of what Shaniqua is gonna
Shaniqua don't
bring to
live
the
here no more.
table. Yes.
Sorry, the white woman named Shaniqua in Oklahoma that, that
There's probably a
we ain't
white woman
talking. We're not talking about
Shaniqua
you.
It probably is.
somewhere. We're not talking to you. But compared to that and seeing Allie on a piece of paper or Beverly on a piece of paper, now it leads a little bit more question of what this person is going to look like. What do they bring to offer? And then you turn around and now we have a phone interview, and then you hear us speak more articulate, and it doesn't sound like we're using a lot of ebonics or slang in a conversation. We hold a conversation that has some type of intelligence or input that's actually of value. Then it's like, okay, it's just a little bit further to get into the door. So these things that we're taught, and they call it, what is it called, Bev? It's like not necessarily color coded. There it is. It's like you have to switch it
So
because you
what'd you
have
say?
Code
She's
switching.
talking code
Oh,
code
code
switching.
switching.
switching. I thought that's
Yeah.
what you said because I have that in here on notes too to
Ask
talk about.
about. Yep.
Yep.
It definitely gives you to the point where I'm going to speak in a more clearer form. So therefore I can be able to utilize this and be acceptable in this professional air. But when I'm at home or with my family, it sounds completely different. I'm going to be more of myself. I'm going to speak more with the slang, or I have to, depending on the
Sure.
environment, I'm talk completely different to get my point across. So
Sure.
Do you feel like
happens a
that's
lot.
Well,
exclusive
well,
to black people, Hispanic people? The reason I ask this question,
No.
so Jack is an extremely Southern person.
nah.
Like, um, like he's got a thick Southern accent, especially whenever he starts to cut up with friends and gets really comfortable with you. However, I know in a more professional environment, that Southern is going to be toned down quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, like, because I mean, especially the way that things get portrayed in like movies and stuff like that, a lot of people view southeastern, like southern white people as ignorant. And
Mhm.
And I'm one of the smartest people I know.
are you? Did you graduate for all of us?
I did. I'm the oldest one in this group, so I graduated first.
He's smarter because he graduated first.
But that is a good point that you're making because um, most white people do not talk this way. this is
Mhm.
not the way that we carry on our discussions at home.
You don't
Because
Yeah.
say.
I
You
mean,
don't say.
so I mean, code switching is a real thing.
Yeah.
Um, do you Iggy has had this face like he has wanted to say something for a long time. Like he gets this face and then he
Oh
stops.
no, no,
So I'm like, I want to hear
no. I
what he
think
has to
it's.
say.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Like I feel like everybody is. I don't know, man. I feel like we're all playing characters
We are.
in life, you know. So it's like I don't know if anybody, you go to your grandparents' house or whatever, like you're not going to talk to them the same way you talk to your friends. I don't know if that's code switching as much as it is just like
It's respect.
I don't
That's
know. Yeah, yeah,
respect.
yeah. Like
Put some respect on my name.
you
Yeah.
Or
know,
or
you're
or
in a
the
different you're a character in these different
yeah,
scenes, so you got to approach the scene appropriately.
or the
Sure.
everybody
Um,
code switches all the
yeah.
time kind of
But
thing.
I guess in the same sense, I think that I mean it's true with most people who are yeah, like I've talked to I mean black people are code switching. Like I was talking to a friend who's Indian and he grew up Indian and he was like, dude, like I would if my mom was cooking, I would make sure my door was closed, my bedroom door was closed. So that what she was cooking like didn't permeate into my room and get onto my clothes because people would tell me that smelled
Yeah.
like curry. And so, I mean, is that code switching? No, it's just this dude who was like, I am Indian. I love Indian food. I go to school in contexts that are not Indian. People don't know. I don't like curry, don't like the smell, don't appreciate it. Uh,
Hmm.
so he's like, hey, I just need to do a thing. I don't think that's abandoning my culture or,
Sure.
being ashamed of my family as much as it is like, hey, man, I'll enjoy the food. I'm not trying to like smell like it. So let me just close
Yeah.
my door. So I think there are people who just, maybe black and brown people, um, yeah, people of color are just probably more, uh, uh, attuned.
Cognizant.
Yeah, yeah, of stuff like that. Because I've talked to like compared notes with my wife, and there's this. I think white people are, speaking like white people are just like, I'm myself. I'm gonna be me. That's like, buddy, we don't. Not all of us have that luxury. It's
Yeah.
like,
I hear that though, and I'll say this: even the people that say that are not always. That's not really true, and I think it's because we're all trying to fit within the same made-up culture that doesn't actually exist.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's
And
interesting.
in reality, we all do have our own little cultures and pockets. And honestly, uh, with Beverly is and Buck too, but there's some of the ones that I'm the most comfortable with. And so they'll hear me say things that most other people wouldn't. However, and Beverly knows this on a different level, when I'm in my professional setting, I'll also I am while I put on I do have this part of me that I have to put on because of my role. I also have brought in my real self in there because I've realized it has made people feel comfortable in a different kind of a way. Without saying what I do, does that make sense, Beverly? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. You have to put on a certain level of professionalism, but you allow your genuine personality to spill over so that people feel more comfortable and more
Hmm.
Right,
invited
right. And
into
it
having
doesn't feel like
that dialogue with you.
this just character, this
This
2D.
mask.
Right. And I guess my question with that is, Iggy, do you feel like you have to wear the mask all the time, or do you feel like there's part of yourself that you get to bleed over, especially with what you get to do?
What do you do, Iggy?
Oh,
He was asking you that
Oh,
question.
yeah, I was asking you.
oh, sorry. Can you repeat that again? Sorry, that was a little tuned
No,
out.
I was saying that I am able to blend some of my real personality over into what I do because it allows people to feel more comfortable with me because it doesn't create the two-dimensional really stereotype that people think of when they know what I do.
Yeah,
Are you able to do that, or do you feel like you have to wear a mask all the time?
not really. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I've made the decision to go, hey man, I'm gonna be me and be the I'm not like it's like I don't know, like be annoying about it, but just know like, hey, this is who I am,
Sure.
and hopefully people are buying into that. Like I'm not selling. I think there's too many movies about the person who changes for the girl or for the
Mhm.
team or for whatever, and then abandons who they are. So yeah, I think that's the part of it. And I talked to a lot of second generation immigrants. So like I'm a second generation. My family moved here. My parents were, from this culture, moved us mid '90s, and I've talked to a lot of people who are similar in that similar stage, and we're all in different walks of life now. Like our parents were, whatever in the country that we were from, and now we are discovering what it is to be I guess to be American or whatever, or to assimilate or to learn, to have a career. I mean, most of us have careers our parents never even dreamed of. They only knew, oh, I'm going to move to America. My kids are going to be doctors and lawyers and accountants. And a lot of them are in the arts. A lot of them are like really, really talented. So I think even in that sense, like I guess there's just a place in which you have to, I don't know, like kind of, I don't know, stick to your guns, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I
Just
mean, that
decide, make a decision to go like, yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna be. And I hope people around me know that I'm not just putting on, but this is who I am. And I don't have to change or like adjust. Like I'm not a this is how I sound. And I remember I had an agent, an acting agent who was like, hey, we want to send you out for this like gangster role. Like, would you like to audition for this? And I think I tried, like I read the email and I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not even gonna try because I don't even have it in me. So
I can't imagine what that would sound like.
yeah, it's not good. I'm not even gonna try it. But also, it's just me kind of being aware of like, oh, it's who I am. That's fine. It's how I sound. It's how I look. I'm not
Yeah.
scaring anybody.
Well, I mean, you're a comedian, so like
Yeah, yeah.
your personality is like a huge part of like your your job, really. So like, do you feel like being authentic in that way is kind of what makes you you in that?
Oh, I mean, well, I think I've heard a lot of people say that you spend so much time as a comedian or in the arts in general, like trying to find your voice, which is really weird to say because, your voice is your voice and you have one and you've been using it your whole life. But then you're really trying to mine when you start creating, you end up, oh, I'm just doing what I've seen other people do. And so then you're trying to find out, okay, what is that version of me from me that's true to me? I'm going to tell
Yeah.
a story or tell this joke or have this opinion that's not based on an amalgamation of everything that I know, but just like, what is I, and I think that's what people relate to the most is like, a person who's uniquely an artist, a singer, a comedian, somebody who's mined who they are to the point where they're one of one and people are like, I like that person, not because they're trying to be somebody else. And so, yeah, I guess trying to like chisel everything else that isn't me from around that. I guess that's the goal.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Jack, are you cool with maybe pivoting to a harder topic that might actually it seems like we all agree with each other for the most part, but we may disagree on a couple of these
well, we
questions
can
we've got.
fight. We can fight though.
Yeah, I was trying to find. I felt there was one that I felt like we went on and then we went off of, and I was trying to bring us back, but I can't remember what it was at the moment. So,
Well, I really want to. I would love to talk about like systemic racism and DEI inclusion and white privilege. Like those are harder topics, and I know like we all could disagree on this, but I'd love to see like if we disagree, those like what each sides of that spectrum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll kind of I'll start it. Like I'll just share my perspective on like systemic racism. And as I mean, I know it's probably really it's terrible to hear a white guy say. I don't really like believe in systemic racism as like an actual thing. I believe in racism. I believe in individual racism, but and let me kind of qualify that. I don't believe it exists today, if that makes sense,
anymore.
in America, like in the way that things are set up. I think it did exist, absolutely. I think obviously redlining was a huge practice that was designed to impact negatively the black community, or just other communities that were kind of in poverty at the time. But and I feel like when we say systemic racism now, it happens in like in these venues or platforms like court systems or something like that, and that is represented as like all of this system, when really it's like this one judge was racist in that moment or something like that. Like, what do you guys think as black people, like, on that? Tell me, like, am I completely wrong in that, or is there nuance to it, or what?
I'm going to slightly disagree.
Okay.
I do feel like systemic racism is not as prevalent in today's society as it was, but I do still feel like it exists. I feel like there's definitely systemic racism all across our judicial system. I feel like a white male and a black male, if they had committed the same crime, the black male statistically is going to always get I'm not say always, but statistically, typically they get a
Likely, yeah.
more severe sentence than their white counterpart. I will also say that, of course, like Jim Crow and things like that, those type of that version
those absolutely
of
existed.
Lord have mercy, systemic racism like that version isn't really as prevalent today, because I can go buy a house the same place Jack can go buy a house, and we can live right next door from one another. But I do feel like it is still present. It's just not as prevalent as it was maybe 30 years ago, when our parents were dealing with, integration and, equality and the civil rights movement. I know my mom was. I think all of our parents actually grew up. My mom was a boomer. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure all of our parents kind of grew up during that time where they experienced all of those battles firsthand. I'm grateful that things that took place then have definitely improved our social status and our, quality of life. I feel like if we existed 30, 40 years ago, Jack and I would not be able to walk into the restaurant and sit at the same table and be treated equally. Mm-hmm. So, and that hurts my heart because that's my brother.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess my question is, like, do you feel like there's anything, because obviously that stuff happens, like statistically you were correct, like black people are generally going to get harsher sentences for that kind of, I don't know. Now, I don't know what plays into that. Like, is that like same like track record? Does that like do they have this?
That in and of itself, even the fact that two people are getting two different sentences, that's affecting a family. If that's a father, that's affecting their kids and their. So I think that's the trickle down of that is too vast. And then if it happens to, like, there are like some communities who face more incarcerations than others, it's like, okay, so now there's whole communities that not a lot of fathers even present. I think stuff like that, that's compounding. It's like interest. It's compounding interest of this, injustice.
Right. And while you're right, do you still think maybe like crime rates and things like that play into that bias that causes that as well, so that it ends up being a twofer? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Where it may still be a racist outcome, they're going off of like a crime rate, and so they use that because there are higher crime rates within certain communities. A lot of times, it is with black.
There was one. I saw this thing recently where I think some psychologists they put on this study for teachers where they put a few kids in a room, different races, and they white and black teachers, by the way. And they were like, hey, I need you to acknowledge which kid. I don't know if they put them in the room where they made them watch a video of like, 4 or 5 kids playing. And then they were like, which kid was misbehaving? And all of the teachers, black, brown, white, all of them picked the black kids, like the brown kids. Oh, that kid was misbehaving. Here's the catch. No kid was
None
misbehaving.
of them.
They were all just
Mm.
sitting there. But even that in of itself, they're like, okay, so now if you have a kid who's everybody's just assuming, oh, that kid is misbehaving. Oh, like now I have brown kids. I'm like, man, I really hope that some teacher's not assuming that my kids are going to be misbehaving because brown kids misbehave, and then that brown kid now has to go to kid of color has to go to different classes, or it goes to detention, or goes to
Yeah.
whatever, and then ends up disliking school, and that affects their education and their outlook on others, and they consider
True.
themselves, I'm a bad kid. So
Ripple
even
effect.
something like that is like, man, come on, like that's such a minute. Well, what we would think is like, man, that's minute thing, and just people going like, oh, that kid is misbehaving. I was like, hey, like that's horrible. That's horrible.
That is,
You
yeah.
Mm.
know?
Like,
It's a huge ripple effect. I really in just kind of leading on what Iggy was saying, there's so many times that, a situation is just viewed on the outside.
mhm.
Yeah.
And from just really kind of, you don't know what's going on until you actually are like in the room to be able to see, but just the outside looking in, that perspective is that a lot of, just because we're louder, because we're more vocal, because we don't have as many understandings, then it's like we'll put them over there in this category. And like, the child may not, like in the black home, the child's acting out, but it's not looked at as they may have a mental disability, or they could have ADHD, or they could be autistic. It's they're a bad kid. Whereas if you're looking at the white kid, oh, he's got ADHD. He's got something wrong with him that we need to help and be able to work with. And that kind of comes with how the culture is kind of built. Even when you're looking at the different sides of, like, in certain neighborhoods, like I said, I grew up in a more, I would say, the ghetto, or more of a more poverty stricken. Like right up the street, there was, a lot of bad stuff happening, pool halls, things going on are so close to what's going on, but you're like looking at what the environment is, and it's where is the help coming in. If I look at, compared to when I was growing up as a kid in my neighborhood, there's no sidewalks. The only sidewalks that were there were on the areas where the white people lived at. They would have
Mm,
sidewalks.
mm,
And now that it's been more integrated with more white people, now that my mom's getting older, a lot of the, older black people are moving out, and they've brought in more white families to be able to, now there's sidewalks all of a sudden coming in. There's now speed bumps for kids to be able to be
mm.
mindful of the area, where I don't know how many times there's been like a neighborhood meeting about these are the things that we need. And now that there's more white people moving into an area, now they want to be able to make it more valuable to the area. It's
Yeah.
definitely where they just don't, they put the things in place when there's more of white people in that zone. And I definitely, I agree, there is definitely a systemic racism still available. It's still here. It's in so many different areas, to where it's now so integrated that it's already kind of expected that if you are a black person going through, just being louder or whatnot, somebody's already got their phone out recording to see what's going to happen.
True.
And then somebody's about to call the police because they're fearful, when it could be just a misunderstanding, and different things of where it's like people's passions or misunderstandings, and it's like it's no real understand like what caused it. But if it was, a white situation, now we got to understand what happened. Now we need to go through therapy. Now we need to get them help before we get them to, you know a reprimand state. Like, we got to correct this situation. Now we got to be able to fix the problem. And I see it a lot, where in just in different areas. I even see it in my job, and my job has become way more, minority um focused, where we do have more Black people, more Hispanics in like leader positions. But when I look at who are the people who have more of the context and the say over it, it's more so on this side, and it's looked as where's the conversation of where we help, and we want to help everybody be able to have it, but in certain areas that are fully um Black or Hispanic, that's where we're putting out more help. We're going to give these lower rates or cheaper rates, but they got to pay first because this area is known for not paying their bill and stuff like that, just with where it comes to. And so I just see it on so many different levels of where it's like, yeah, it's definitely picking and choosing about where you want to be strategic about using it, but yet kind of fluffing it all like, no, everybody's equal. No, everybody has a say until it gets to a certain point of this is where we kind of draw the line. This is where we got to make sure that everything kind of stays in its own bubble.
So
I got a question.
Beverly got
You got a
something.
question, Jad?
No, I was pointing for you because
I got a question for Allie and Iggy. Do you feel, or have you ever felt like your humanity has been lessened or negated in any type of way based on your skin color?
Yes, I feel like I have. It's been like it's out of ignorance. It's out of something of where it's like I'm looked at as if I'm, being a Black woman in more of a semi-corporate level of job, I'm seen as an authority, but at the same time, like I may not be heard, and I may not have a full say. My opinion is definitely wanted, but is it really validated? It's like, I can sit in a room, but I can't really do
can't
nothing
speak
in
in
that
it.
room. Yeah,
You
I
can't
can,
speak in it.
I can
You
be
can't have a
present.
say in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind of gives that facade of like, you're kind of just sitting on a shelf. You're there to look pretty. You're there to look to be part of the group, but you're not really part of the group because these are the people who really have the say all be all. And then, it's definitely different. And even when you think that you have a type of understanding from some of your peers, and when the comfort levels kind of drop down a little bit and they kind of say what's really on their mind, it comes out completely different. Like you'll be like, hold on, wait, we ain't that close. You saying we cool, but be mindful of how you handle it. And it just really kind of peeks its head out ever so often.
What about you, Iggy?
I feel like your face
I
seemed like
mean,
you had a totally different answer than
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
yeah. I think there's a. I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but I guess in every. I'll stick with the character analogy since everybody's playing a character. I think everybody has an idea of like what type of person plays what character, right? In most scenarios in life, in an office setting, like, oh, this is what I like a manager or a boss looks like, or, that's how even TV shows are cast in the same way of like, oh, that's the nerdy person. Oh, that's the manager. That's the weird person. That's the person everybody is. And so I think in the arts, I found that in the arts, like, uh, well, I guess in every scenario, some people just advance, uh, based on that look like they can play the part more than their capability or their
Mm-hmm.
ability. I found this a lot in the arts, and I've talked to a lot of people in entertainment too, who they're like, yeah, I know somebody who's white who does the same thing I do. People don't dare talk to them or ask them to do anything for free or do a favor because they know how much they're worth. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes time to people reach out to me, it's like, hey man, can you do this for pizza? Or like, this is a great opportunity for you. And I'm in the same boat where people have reached out to me and I'm like, even at some point, I'm like, yeah, this is embarrassing. I have to start saying no because I need to start standing on business. Because I feel like you're approaching me different from how you would approach me if I was not black.
That's a
So I
true
think that's,
statement.
that's definitely I'm not saying it's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what column to put that in, but you know, it's,
Mm.
to me, it's like, I'm offended, I'm hurt, but at the same time, it's like,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Is it racist, or do you think it's more classist, or is it sometimes only certain classes you feel like fit within certain races?
But what Iki's
I don't,
saying, I think
yeah,
that comes with more of like, we experience that more so from our own culture,
yeah,
like where
Sure.
you're sitting there and you have a business, you have like some type of professional vibe, and then you'll have somebody come up to you because they know what you do, and they'll be like, oh, well, I don't have to pay full price, oh, can you give me a discount, or can you look out? And it's like, but if you were to go to an actual establishment, actual professional who has everything set, you would
I
pay the
see.
price. You would
yeah,
you would make
yeah.
sure you would
Yeah.
pay what you had to, and out of what some of my some of
That's
my
because
family
y'all be
members have
claiming
said,
everybody as cousins.
no, but it's cousins. But then they gonna say that, but you wouldn't do that with the white man though,
Right,
Well, that's
and
right.
because we don't have cousins.
And don't.
I,
And this is why, because we don't
I,
and
I think
there's a
but
also,
it's
joke. There is a
true.
joke here, but we really don't claim half of our actual real cousins. We'll be like, it's my cousin.
it's my cousin.
Yeah, like
And
our
y'all
cut.
over here,
Also,
somebody your mama used to be friends with in college had a baby, and you
That's
like,
your
that's my
uncle.
cousin. And I'm like,
The fact that
Okay,
the
because
fact that me and
Stephanie is
we
Jack,
my
don't claim
child's
everybody.
yeah,
auntie.
the
Uh,
fact that me and Jack are so close is actually kind of weird because we're not even like first cousins. We're like what third
we're
cousins,
second cousins.
second cousin. I always get it
See,
mixed up.
Book didn't even know.
I
That's
don't
how
even
I know
know.
y'all don't claim y'all cousins.
Yeah.
I just found out that the Caucus folk had cousins probably about 6 months ago, and it blew me away because I was like, y'all really got
We
cousins?
have real cousins, but we really don't claim everybody as family. And there's
Mm,
reasons for that.
And we eye
And
roll when we have to go to the family reunion
mhm.
because
I don't go to
they're
them no more.
embarrassing.
I have
And
not been to a family reunion since I married Jill. We've been
oh
married
wow.
Wow.
for it was 15 years.
Mm.
now, Beverly, we
right.
didn't we didn't get your side of that. Do you feel like you've been looked at as less human for being black? I mean, that was
Absolutely. And my first thought was in like medical settings.
mhm.
I
Mm.
I
That's a good
have
one.
um an autoimmune disease, and it's like when I'm explaining my issues. First of all, it took years and years for anybody to listen to what was going on to make a accurate diagnosis. But once they made the accurate diagnosis, it was like, okay, this is happening. Nobody ever has offered anything for pain management or anything like that. It's always just
Mm,
like I think because of old timey inaccurate rhetorics and stereotypes
Hmm.
that Black people have a higher pain tolerance. I have a high pain tolerance because I've been through so much and I've had to
That's
endure
a
so much
thing.
pain.
That's a
Yes.
thing.
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
It's
Why would
because
Oh,
of
anybody
yes.
think
slavery,
that?
but
That's what you you got to look
Yes.
this
The
up, man.
naivety
There are so many black women who lose kids during
and
childbirth because they're
life.
not
Hmm.
They
given
lose
in
their
life.
lives.
Lives.
They lose their
Why do
Yeah.
lives
people
because
think that though?
doctors. It's just
It's
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 because
in
of
the
systemic
books.
racism, Buck. It's because people think, oh, black women got it. Oh, black woman's giving birth, she's got it. Oh, black woman, she's got it,
Oh, they
and they
don't feel pain.
die.
Hmm.
That's not real. She's not really hurting. That is it. I don't know if you guys saw a few months
I
ago
am so
circulating on
confused.
TikTok. A few months ago circulating on TikTok, there was a young lady and she was 9 months pregnant and she was literally in labor in the lobby of a hospital.
Hmm.
I want to say it was in Texas. And the administrator was like continuing to ask her these very mundane questions like, oh, well, what's your address and what's your phone number? Meanwhile, this lady is having contractions like a minute apart, and she's in full-blown labor, and the woman is still like treating her as if she's not having a child in a seat.
So this is like a triage kind of setting, like where they kind of like
she wasn't in the lobby. She was not in a room. She wasn't in a bed. She wasn't laying down. She was in a wheelchair at the desk answering questions that this nurse had for her. And I don't know whom she was with, but they were recording it and they were saying, can't you see she's in labor? I just feel like, I'm not saying I don't feel like that would ever happen to a white woman, but I feel like that would be highly unlikely that would happen. Like, baby, we can take care of all these back end administrative questions once I get an epidural or, you know, get some medical attention, because you never know, that baby could have been breached. That baby could, you know, she could have been having preeclampsia. We don't know what was going on because she was in the lobby. Her vitals weren't hooked up. We don't know what was going on, you know, but she could have very easily lost her life and that child's life. Luckily, they both lived, but that could have very easily, the ending of that story could have changed.
I think because most of sorry,
you're good.
Maybe the reason why a lot of this, there's a famous story of I'll stop probably not famous, but a story that Chris Rock, the comedian, mentioned that his parents, Chris Rock is probably like in his 50s, mentioned that his parents, his parents or his grandma, parents or grandparents, they couldn't. Chris Rock is black. They couldn't go to a dentist. So they had to go to a vet for dental work.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's in the past, what, let's say 60, 70 years. So just even that, like, if black people in America couldn't go to a dentist and they had to go to a vet, so that means even dentists are now working on black people. They don't even have like freaking 100 years working on African American people.
I mean, that's
and how
true.
long from then to now to where you have black dentists with their own practices. I think stuff like that is where it's like the timeline is just we're just on I think brown people of color, like we're just on a different timeline from white people. Okay, directors. Like I've watched so many videos about Ryan Coogler, and people are like, "Man, this young guy, his first big blockbuster, Black Panther." It's like, dude, it's really impressive because he's like one of the first ones to achieve that. And it's like
he made it.
That was what freaking 20, what 18? It's like, come on.
I mean, it is true. You can only really. I mean, at least white people can probably only name like 2 black directors, which are Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele.
Right.
And so I mean that's
even stuff like that. It's just it's a I think in terms of the timeline, like I even think about it as I'm in my 30s. I have a lot of friends. I mean, we all have friends who, the way that I hear some of the white friends that I have, who some of them don't even come from money, but you can tell that their family has been established for a long time. I'll use the term established. It's like, they have great grandparents and grandparents who went to college and worked and, owned houses and did whatever.
Sure.
Dude, they're now like those friends of mine, we're the same age, we're starting families, and man, they have such a leg up in the sense that, oh yeah, my grandma gave me a house, or yeah, our parents gave us a car, or so-and-so, like, we've been watching the amount of Christmas presents that are dropped off or whatever. It's like, hey, that's not happening everywhere. That's not happening everywhere. Like, I don't have any I don't have a living grandparent, but let alone a grandparent who's going to throw me a house.
Yeah.
So I think there's things like that, and I don't view that as like, oh, it's because of, it's just, hey man, the timeline, we're on a timeline that's a little behind.
Yeah.
Maybe very behind.
Well, I'm on timeline. Ain't nobody give me no daggum help.
So that kind of
no car.
Yeah,
that's
not yet, Jack. Do you have grandparents who are living?
No.
Yeah. The only way I
no hope for you, dog.
The only way that happens
we
is
come
death.
from very poor families.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Um,
so they kind of, so the
Buck's
timeline
Buck's
thing. Go
hold
ahead.
on, Buck's actual mother, I'm pretty sure lived in houses where they didn't have indoor plumbing when they were growing
Yeah.
up.
My
And
mom,
my great grandfather had 25 children. There's no money coming
the
down this
funny, the
pipe.
funny thing, the funny thing about our moms, who our moms are first cousins. So growing up in the area that I grew up in, there are these two rundown buildings that are like, well, one ended up getting renovated and became a store, but for the longest time, it was like this super rundown looking convenience store. It had been for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Condemned for years. Well, Jack's mom was born in that building. And then like 2 miles down the road, there's this old, like, it dilapidated house. It, like, windows are ripped out of it. And I remember riding by it one time and my mom said, I was born there. And it was just kind of like, and I was like, did it look like that then? She's like, it was pretty close. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
And that's not a struggle of hardships here.
no.
But I do think that there is this stereotype that white people have, like all white people come from
Leg up. Yeah,
Yeah.
a
yeah.
leg up in these
Yeah.
lucrative families, and a lot of us don't, especially down here in the South, because we didn't have a pot to piss in or a pot to or a
Yeah.
window to throw it out of, and so that was and we I feel like in that kind of a way, because of the history and because the slave trade did come through the South,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but if we're going to let's shoot real straight. When we have the war and everybody splits, slavery was all over the U.S. Slavery was not getting any more disbanded in the North than it was in the South before the war. And it wasn't until the war, like, you actually had, if you actually do some research, you'll find out that a lot of the Southerners couldn't afford slavery.
That's true.
They were some of the ones who did, like General Lee and things, they were actually already had gotten rid of their slaves. So, um, all that to say, that was a lot that kind of goes in, but we have this narrative in our mind that the South is more racist, I think, than anywhere else. The most racist people, white people that I've met, were from the North, but I think it's because we have grown up in such a way and we have lived in a way in the South that has caused us to grow together in a different kind of way,
Hmm.
and has caused us to end up walking more alongside each other than I think white people from other parts of the country, if that makes any sense.
I can see that.
We're not going to face the same racial things, but as far as some of the struggles is when poverty hits and things, that's why I hit on it being not necessarily racial but classist earlier, but it's because I think in certain ways, now there's some very lucrative white folk down here in the South, okay? They not from my line because I don't know them, but I'd have to be
Mine
new
neither.
money. Okay, I'd have
Yeah.
to. Well,
Where's
we
that
have to
money
be.
at, Jack?
I promise you, that's them cousins you ain't
Okay.
claiming.
You should go talk to your
Friend,
cousins.
You
I've
should
told you.
tell you
Remember
got
when I said
25
there's a
grand.
reason I don't claim them? They worse off than me. Okay,
But
they the ones.
here's the other thing. I was saying, even what I was mentioning earlier about the idea of like people getting overlooked, like being overlooked because of skin color. I think it's the same reason that like we can only name you only know like two directors. It's like there's people
Well,
don't
he
have a
didn't name
history of
Spike
like
Lee,
Spike Lee, all the other ones.
And that's the
But
third
even
one.
then, like,
Steve
okay, we got,
McQueen.
if the list is 10 directors long, that's still too short. So even now there is a like, if I can think of multiple companies here in the upstate where am I qualified to direct a commercial or a project? 1,000%. If I show up, if I hop on calls, I've been demoted from projects just because I'm like, no, I'm capable. But I think there's this understanding of like, no, I think we just need to get somebody different. And you know, I understand it. Happened last year on a big project. It was like, hey, they gave it to me and I accepted it. And then a week later, they're like, actually, we're going to have this person over you. I'm like, what happened? I'm capable of overseeing the project. You asked me to oversee it. You knew I was capable.
I'm gonna have to
So I
find
think there's
out.
just a
I'm about to find out who these people are because that's
Well,
that rubs me
but
the
that's the
wrong
other thing
way,
too.
man.
I mean, that's the other thing is
What you
that I
got
mean,
to
I don't
say,
know if
Bill?
Ian
Oh,
and like have mentioned, like in a sense that even when that stuff like that happens, since most of us are so new to most of these positions and opportunities, you can't really retaliate. Like,
Yeah,
almost have to go along to
yeah.
get the play. You know, you have to go along to get along in that sense. I don't know.
See what you're
I don't
saying,
know.
Beverly. What were you gonna say?
Our kids aren't going to have this problem. That's all I'll say.
I will agree. I have a 12-year-old, and I know I was having this conversation with Jack, but I asked her if she ever felt like she was treated differently because of her skin color, and she answered no. And that made my heart full of joy to know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
she doesn't even worry her mind with the same things that we have faced.
right. This really does
But
end with us. Like it
right,
can.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah.
it kind of feels so to kind of circle back to what I like
some
systemic racism in general. Like it kind of feels like all of your examples feel like it's not necessarily a problem with a system as much as it's a problem with multiple people. They just need
Fuck.
to get their.
Fuck. If black people couldn't go to a real dentist and they had to go to a vet,
I
what
mean,
is that?
that's true.
that's
That's
60 years
true.
ago, though.
That's yeah. I
That's the
mean,
We're talking about
system.
that's
now.
Yeah.
true. But
that
like,
many years
Oh,
ago,
oh.
that's the
I
issue.
mean,
It
it's
wasn't
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
not
not
many
many
that.
years
years
But
ago.
ago.
but
Yeah,
like,
We've
yeah.
come a long way. I mean, you and I, Beverly, have talked about how in our childhood we grew up watching Hey Arnold and Doug, and we watched these friends with multicolored friends, and didn't like. I never thought anything about the black people in my class versus the white people in my class. To
Yeah.
me, they were copying what I or not copying, but they were. It was the same thing as what I saw on
Emulating.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were all friends.
I
And
didn't really start experiencing racism until my adulthood, though, when it
right.
came to being in corporate America
mm,
and trying to enter a room that quote unquote was not meant for me.
And so with that, I feel like we had made more headway at one point. Maybe not completely, maybe not systemically. I don't know. I'm not like I can't speak to that. But it does feel like we've taken steps back just in the racial war in the past 20 years.
I wouldn't say we've taken steps back, but I definitely think there's more division as far as like the rhetoric that the media is trying to portray. Like they're trying
Absolutely.
to separate us, they're trying to divide us. But I do have two questions. First question is for Jack and Buck. Do you believe that, and this kind of piggybacks off what you were talking about a second ago, but do you believe that white privilege exists?
I have that question on my list.
All right now.
I'm
Um,
starting to secretly wonder if Beverly has that list too, because she's
I
asked a
didn't
couple of them.
I didn't send you that, did I?
You didn't.
I didn't send it to her. I just sent it to the host. Um, which
And
is
of course, anybody can answer that question, but I just wanted to hear
Yeah,
from Jack and Buck
I
first.
Jack, I'll let
second.
you go first.
you gonna let me go first? You trying to throw me to the wolves?
No, I
Um,
mean I just generally have jumped in on the last few before you.
no, I have I kind of go back and forth with this because I hear some things where like if you're talking about dentistry and stuff, then then I can see how you know if I can get a dentist and you can't, then that would be an issue. I don't know that that happens any more in this day and age. So if we're speaking of on today's terms, um, I think that there can be in certain situations, quite possibly with police,
Hmm.
in those situations, because I do think that there is a stereotype that's put out that when stopped, and I pull over and I throw on that real Southern charm and that big old grin, that it's going to help me more so than it would if I were black. Because I think there is a stereotype, and I think that's true even for black cops. They tend to gun more for, I think, black people. And that's from having family
Literally.
members in that's wow. That's coming from people in my family that I have that are policemen. And they'll say, the black cops will go for the black people first. Um, however, I don't know that that's what you get is you get these fanatic people, and they're usually the very white liberal people that are kind of crazy on the far out there, and they're like, well, I believe in white privilege because I have band-aids that match my skin color. Nobody cares. Don't nobody care what color your band-aid is because I ain't never had a band-aid match me. They're all darker than my actual skin. It does not, and I am not
And
worried
they
about
all
it.
come off when they get wet.
Right. No, you get stuck on
Unless
Band-Aid
you,
bread
unless you
and
get the
Band-Aid stuck on
waterproof
you.
kind,
Band-Aids
but
stuck on
nobody.
me.
But I think it depends on and what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that I'm sure that there is a level of it that I'm probably not as aware of it because I haven't necessarily had to be. But I think that it also gets pushed by the media to be something
It gets
so far,
sensationalized.
so yeah, it's kind of out there that that's not like that's not necessarily important, like
Yeah.
band-aids.
Yeah. I would agree. And I think to kind of put it broadly for me too, I think all different cultures experience privilege at some point. And I think all different cultures experience racism at some point. I remember I used to work for a car rental company, and there was a branch manager, and she was a black woman. But she was kind of a detestable person. But nobody could say anything because she would always throw out like, "Well, you can't say anything because I'm black and you're white, and I'm just going to throw racism out there." And that was
What's
just
her
using
name? Blossom?
no, no, no. This was a real woman. Um, but
We're moving the needle forward.
um, and we were all like terrified. And now that was a weaponized form of that. But at the same time, I mean, I think racism does exist. I think it's stupid to be like, oh, well, racism isn't out there. And I think there will be times when somebody's going to
They're
favor
talking about white
somebody that,
privilege, not racism.
I was gonna let them be great.
and now I mean this.
I will say this on the flip side. I and I've talked to both Buck and Beverly. They know this story where I was like, for lack of a better word, I was kind of groomed for a position that I was moving up to become the assistant manager of this place. And they were like, "Oh, but we still have to do the interviews." Um, I had been working for this company for a few years. I knew everything but one part of it that they were going to have to train me on. And I had, I was good at it. I was the manager that came in from another store. They brought him in and he was like, you're my pick. You're good. All this kind of stuff. So I knew this, but a black female came in and we didn't have any diversity in our store. And I remember when she walked in, I said, I didn't get the job. I knew I didn't get the job because I knew that they were going to hire her for her diversity. She had never worked for the company. And so and I talked to her about it later. She was super nice. And I was like, listen, I don't have any problems with you. I said, because I know that you just came in and applied for the job. You got the job, and that's great. I said, congratulations. I said, but I don't know why this happened. And she said, I would go talk to them. She said, because I've had it happen to me. And she and I were able to have like a real moment. But it does happen on the flip side too, because there has to be some diversity. I left that place and went on to be great. But it does happen. It may not happen as much, but there is, because they feel like they have to meet a quota. They're gonna push whoever in, even if, and their excuse was to me, well, you didn't know everything. I was gonna have to train you. And I was like, Heifers, she didn't know anything. You was gonna have to teach her the whole job.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In that certain context, do you think you would have been more available for the job had that company already been acquiring diversity in the first place? Because what you said was they didn't have any of
Yeah,
have it
I do.
there.
Because I had already been essentially promised this position. I believe that if I don't believe it was her.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she went on and she did great for the company, but she had
Mm-hmm.
never worked for this company. I think if the company had more representation. Now they had a Latina girl, but she had left. And later they did have more color come in. Uh, I know that they had a couple black people come into the after I left, but before me, it was mostly white people, with a little sprinkle here and there of other things, right?
Mhm.
A Hispanic, a Filipino girl, or something like that. But but there was no black at that point. So do I think had it been other races had been represented within the company, yeah, I think I would have probably gotten the position. But I also think that it made them look good to hire a person of color into a position that they already had someone trained for, even
Yeah.
if they had somebody already trained for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's called affirmative action.
But even that in of itself, like what you described, is an overcorrection on a problem.
Yeah.
hmm That's
So
exactly what I was
I
getting
think
at.
ultimately when people talk about like the systemic racism, all those things, I'm like, dude, that was a wave from the tsunami that was bad race relations from hundreds of years ago.
Sure.
You
Mm.
know what I mean? Since freaking whoever discovered air quotes this country. So I'm like, those are all waves from it. That like, affirmative action. Oh, we got to overcorrect with affirmative action. Oh, we got
Yeah.
to do this. Like, it's just. I think that's the. I mean, I think a lot of things were screwed up, and we're facing the repercussions of that on many different levels: housing, healthcare, um, education. Uh, I don't know if the answer is just like, everything was race. People, they didn't. Who would have thought that not having sidewalks would be, or like street
Yeah.
lights or any of those
Mhm.
things? Or I mean, I've even heard like most, like they don't put Whole Foods or healthy restaurants
Mm.
in
Mm-mm.
low income communities. So
Nope.
they're
Mhm.
like, oh, these people are getting sick or whatever. And you're like, well, I wonder why.
Because there
Oh,
ain't
you
enough
need to
food.
eat healthy. How? So I think those are just different waves of freaking that we keep on getting hit over by,
Mhm.
you know, all those things. And I don't know.
It's hidden very well. Like I think we're so normalized to it, and we just like think like the case of point, just the food that we look at, like in a more poverty stricken area or it could be more predominantly black or Hispanics,
Hmm.
you will see more Walmarts, you'll see more Burger Kings or McDonald's. Whereas if you go to a more diverse or more white driven area, then you will see more Publix. You'll see
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, you'll see Starbucks. Like it's
Fresh market.
Fresh Market.
Yeah.
Like you'll see these areas to where the food quality is much better and just the access to it, even though it's more expensive, but it into a sense, like why is food at one location? You can go to a Publix that's a little bit closer to a
Yeah. Yeah.
minority based area and the prices are a little bit cheaper, but if you go to a place where it's like more, white driven, then you're going to find them a little bit more expensive. This thing's going to be, but it's going to be fresher quality. Like just seeing the difference in the food in these two different locations, even though it's the same
Right.
company, you will see a difference in the food and what it looks like and what's given to the area.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of it's it may not be seen on this side, but systemic racism is definitely a
So
big player.
so what do you do though? Like what fixes that? Because like
You go to the white grocery stores.
no. I mean to solve that
Well, I think that's.
to solve
I mean,
that
first of
problem.
all,
Like
I think the knowing is the main thing. We know now. Like,
Mhm.
shoot, you know now.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it can be different. Things will be different. Um, like okay, like I jokingly say all the time, like I only knew of like 5 careers growing up. Like I knew I could be a doctor or a vet or police officer or whatever. Um, and then I went to college to be a pastor, which that's another career I knew I had to do. And then I remember meeting friends who made money filming things, and I delivered pizza and worked at a church. And I remember being like, "Wait, y'all make a living doing that?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's great money." And so then I applied and got a job there, and then like learned this whole career. And I
Hmm.
remember trying to explain it to my parents, who were like, "What are you doing? What?" And I'm like, "No, we're filming. Like, there's this whole system of people who need videos and directing and producing and commercials and training videos. Like, there's a company that we do all this." And so the fact that I grew up watching TV and movies and never once thought, I should work in TV and movies because I didn't know anybody who worked in TV and movies.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's one of those things. It's just a system of like, oh, that's something that I can enjoy from a distance. Like that's
Mhm.
something that's out there that I will just observe. And it wasn't until somebody pulled me in to go like, hey, no, this is something that you can do. And I love telling other people now, like when I speak at some youth events or whatnot, and at breakout sessions, I'm like, no, you could do that. Anything you see somebody doing online or whatever, you can also do that. Like I give my son a camera to be like, go film you playing outside
So,
because this you can turn this into something. So I think stuff like that. I think maybe even just the 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 knowledge or just the I'm not gonna call it knowledge, but just a know-how. I feel like the
Mhm.
yeah.
sky is the limit for most. You talk to most white kids or
So,
whatever, like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And like black kids, like I don't even know anybody who does the things that I want to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like it's
Yeah,
changing? Like the really what needs to be done is changing mindsets more than like legislature or laws or like what do you think? Like, what do you
nah,
like?
everything, man.
I
Everything?
mean, you got to change your mindset in order to get to the point to where it's even an option to change a law.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to propose a bill that they don't feel passionate about or that's necessary.
right.
It starts with the people. I think once
Absolutely.
the more conversations like this and the more that we communicate both sides, that's why it's, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different history that they've gone through. But when we have moments like this to where we can really focus on like what was it like for each side of the coin, like there's a lot of things that I became aware of in this moment, just talking to you guys about your experience that I haven't had those candid conversations with some of my friends because it's always this kind of shield as
Mm,
to how do you open up to somebody who you think they wouldn't understand, but your friends, you're in these moments. And the more that we can continue to talk about it, then it leads to where, nah, there's a change that's got to happen. There's things going because I like this person enough and I want well being for them because
yeah.
now I know who they are. I like this person and I don't think this is fair. I think a really great example was one of my close friends I work with. She was watching my son just to help me with babysitting. And she has a daughter who's same age as my son, but when she would go to the grocery store, she would have her daughter majority of the time. And it completely flipped her mind when she's like, I took your son with me to the grocery store, and this lady was just looking me up and down like, why do I have this black baby with me? Like, who is it? What's going on?
Mhm.
And she's like getting offended by it, like she wanted to fight this lady because she's like, what you doing with that baby, where you at, why you have it? And it was the questions that asking like, are you taking care of this child as if like the mother is not active, not like you just watching a child, like you're adopting a child. And she was like, no. And she was just like hurt by it to say, this is what I'm really experiencing now that I love this baby. Like
Hmm.
I love you. And I just didn't recognize that it was like that until I was in an experience away from you and I seen the different sides because people don't always have that interaction just as much as like Jack and Beverly going out to eat together. There is nobody really knows what it's like, and it's that shield that we gotta open up because it's not gonna fix itself until we start
Yeah.
fixing it.
It feels like whenever people come to have conversations like this, the goal is to win a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
I
Like
think
I
a lot
think
of
like
people don't know how to put down their preconceived notions on either
yeah.
side as well.
And I think
Mhm.
and I mean, we may still leave this conversation not having changed a whole lot about like what our worldview on something would have been, or we could have changed a lot of it. Like, but we still listen to each other, and I think wanting to at least try to meet each other in the middle gets us somewhere. Like it moves the needle forward, guys.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you, Blossom.
um, but
I am a trans black woman.
but for real, like I think that like conversations like this, trying to see like, hey, we do want to try to get to a place where we're doing what's best for each other, not only for a particular group of people or people that look like us or are in our same financial state or whatever. I think developing friendships is the biggest step towards that for me. And I will say this: I do not have enough black friends. Like,
Oh,
I mean, I don't feel like it's a
Get
crime.
him.
it
Yeah,
is.
racism.
You need to
How dare you.
diversify
But
your
I'm
friend
also
group.
not gonna
White
be like, well,
privilege. No, I'm
I gotta
kidding.
go find a black friend. I gotta go find a black friend to have black friends. You know what I'm saying? Like that's worse. But like,
Well,
well,
It's because
that
they
is
didn't
one of. I
invite you to their
remember
cookout.
a couple years ago during the one of the big, I guess the BLM, all lives, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, blah, 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 all that stuff going on. I remember I talked to a friend, it was like a mentor who I really trusted, and I was like, hey man, like, what is the response to all this? Like, what is and he was like, dude, I think everybody needs to have somebody over for dinner at their house who does not look like them.
mm,
Amen.
And
Mm.
and I thought, whoa. Because okay, meeting in a coffee shop that's easy. Going to a restaurant, that's easy. Man, having somebody at your house, where
Ooh,
you're like
That's
in there,
intimate.
that's vulnerable and it's
That's
awkward.
intimate.
you
You've hosted before. It's weird, and I gotta watch you like cook, and you're just, and then you're trying to make conversation, and you're like that part is that challenge. And I think there are a lot of people who, I mean, there's no need to, condemn anybody or ask who hasn't done it, who has done it. But I think there are a lot of people who just, they just don't fellowship, eat, share,
yeah.
invite over people who don't look like them.
Mhm.
I'm married. I married a white lady, so I'm always eating with somebody who doesn't look like me. But that's, but also I think that's one of the big things that I think about that a lot of like, people who were even yesterday. Like I had a friend yesterday who was over at our house who's Puerto Rican, and I'm like, dude, are you gonna watch
Puerto
the Bad
Rico.
Bunny?
Mhm.
Wepa.
I
And
know who this
so,
guy is.
like, you know what I mean? And so
I'm cool
even
too.
that, like, okay, then watching friends, friends, watching people online being like, "Oh, Bad Bunny sucked," and Puerto Rican, da da. And I'm like, these people don't have Puerto Rican friends.
Yeah.
None of these
No.
people know anybody from Puerto Rico at all.
Mhm.
And so even that in of itself is just like, it's ignorance, man. It's sad. It's sad.
I guess that's so for me. I mean, growing up, it wouldn't have been because we didn't have a whole lot of different colors within the same house or but as an adult that's really weird for me. But I mean, because well, we started a college group at one of our churches, and I I well, I'm trying to think. I think I probably was a minority there. There was a lot of black and brown people, and I
Yeah.
don't. I guess I never really thought about that as that's not something that people just would do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess that's true. It's weird to think
I guess
about.
outside of like especially outside of a religious context, sometimes you can be full, that just happens naturally. But when you're on your own to be like, hey, I need to, this is something that I have to seek out. You know how as an adult, man, people can just drift out of your life or whatever. But like, okay, people who are stop being siloed and actually reach out and connect with people who are different from you. What does that look like?
Mhm.
You say, "Come sit next to me, boo."
Mhm.
That's what I
From
told
across
Beverly
the
the first time
room.
I met her.
From
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
room.
I feel like
And I think with that, like I think it's with that understanding of even people who've traveled, to go to different countries.
Mm,
I think your opinion when you hear people talk about culture and race and immigration and you name it is different. Is
it
different,
is. Hmm.
you know.
Because
Because
you put
like,
a face to the issue.
yeah,
It's not
Yeah.
right,
just,
right.
political. It's not just separate from you.
I think whenever it
It's
comes
like,
to these issues
yeah,
in general, compassion tends to be absent too often, regardless. Like no
yeah,
matter like if you're like I've taken a stance in this way, like I'm not a big proponent of throwing out the idea, like throwing in people's face, facts don't care about your feelings. I'm not like the biggest fan of that. While like that kind of thing may be true, I feel like those facts need to be accompanied with a great deal of compassion in a lot of ways. And like,
I
um,
would say that before you would say that.
you absolutely would, and
well,
I
but
would
even the
criticize
fact
you.
in of
Facts
itself, I
don't care
mean,
about your feelings.
it's like I think there's a like one of the, I mean, while we're talking about like immigration, like I think there are a lot of people who's like, oh, we gotta get everybody out, we gotta get all these people out who don't belong. I'm like, man, dude, I have family members who live in Africa and are dying to come to America, would love to come to America. And look, I've never met a white person who's dying to go to Tanzania,
No.
who would live illegally in Tanzania. So, like, in that and of itself, like the fact that this country has that much of a pool of like people wanting to be here at all cost, and then I mean, it doesn't happen with most other countries. I don't know if
No,
any of most other
that's
countries or
great.
people are trying to do that.
I
So
think
it's
that's
like
great.
with that, people skip over that to just being like, "Oh, we gotta get everybody out so we can just eat freaking soupy mac and cheese
Well, I don't think.
and boiled
Well, I
chicken." It's
think
like,
that's
bro,
great.
this
I think
country
the
is
idea is to
beautiful
come
because of
legally.
yeah, yeah. But look, like I said, it's all that stuff. Hey, I didn't write the policies. I don't know what they're working on all of that stuff. What I'm saying is that in meeting people, like there are people who want to be here. They sh- I Hey man, I don't know how they're supposed to deal or who's supposed to deal with what, but I'm just saying like that's the first thing. Like I've met people who are like, dude, help me get to America. I
Yeah.
want to come to America, and and I think that's the part where it's like, okay, at so I'm even trying to be careful in the way like I criticize this country, be like, oh, America's done a lot of things wrong, blah, 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 or this systemic racism. It's like, yeah, there is that. But also the things that this country has done right, they have done right. Like we
Yeah.
have come a long way. And we have a long way to go. Like this country has a long way to go, but there's still there's the magnetic aspect to it that even with all its flaws, like, man, we up in here, dude. Like we really are in here.
That's true. I mean, that's a good way of looking at it because, like, I mean, no country is perfect. But
And most countries have like you say, or kind of saying there, a lot of countries have a lot more flaws than what we have, even with all the flaws that we have.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay to
Because
acknowledge the flaws without having to try to like hate where you're from.
yeah,
Right.
And but
well,
well,
but let's go around. I want to go around real quick. Just as on a lighter hearted note, because I had mentioned we all grew up watching these old cartoons, and I want to know what your favorite cartoons were growing. What your favorite cartoon was growing up.
That's hard.
I will say Doug. Doug was my first. Was I loved watching Doug, but I am the oldest one here. But I did love
What?
Doug. What? But I also did. I was a big into Hey Arnold as well, and some of anything that fell in kind of those brackets.
Pretty good.
Rugrats. Recess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh
yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Arthur. I
I'm
was a PBS kid. I grew up on Arthur.
Arthur.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
bro,
good.
Very
Ooh.
diverse. Everybody in there was a different color in there.
I
Different
did.
animal, like us.
Yeah.
I didn't have
Right?
cable. I didn't have cable or satellite growing up, so I had to like stick to like network Fox Kids
Oh,
like
yeah.
on Saturday
You didn't have
morning.
That's
I
the
had
best.
PBS was sometimes it would be clear, sometimes it would be severely staticky. Um, so you never could count on it. Like you would hope and pray that you could go to PBS and watch Reading Rainbow or Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill, Bill, Bill.
Yeah, but I would say probably like the animated Spider-Man series was probably my favorite growing up. But all those like
Mm.
all
Bless his heart. He
those
only got to watch cable when he came to my house.
I did. This is not an exaggeration, guys. This was
You was
truth.
well off. You was established.
Wow. Y'all had cable back then, Jack?
We did,
Right.
but we had the little hamsters that ran on wheels to get it going for us.
Like I'm not kidding.
Jeez.
I had bunny ears on multiple TVs in my house.
Yeah,
Yeah, same.
Like
definitely remember that.
Same.
yeah. So this has
Allie,
been awesome, guys. This has
is a
been
good
really
talk.
fun.
Iggy and Allie didn't have they have no cartoons y'all watch?
Oh, I thought you guys said some. You said Arthur.
He said Arthur.
Oh yeah, Iggy
So
said
like
Arthur.
mine, I think I'm the oldest in the room. I'll be real.
You're not
but
the oldest.
I
Jack
feel
was
like
the oldest.
is he really?
Mm.
Okay. Because my
Jack done bumped
favorite,
up to the next level.
I'm gonna throw all of it off because y'all are on Nickelodeon, it seems as if. But my
Recess?
favorite Recess was on ABC.
Okay,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Recess was ABC.
Recess
But
was good.
Right?
Recess was good.
It was a good show.
Really good.
I'm a Sailor Moon girly.
Oh dang.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's Jill. That was Jill's favorite too.
Yes, I love Sailor Moon. And then the animated X-Men.
That's
'Cause I
one of them.
That
Great.
one.
boy, I was always Storm. No, I was always Storm and Rogue. I was fighting between those two. So that's where I was like, I had my, African roots, and then I turned around and I was like, no, I want to be able to have all the powers in the world. So let me just
Yep.
touch whomever I can and
Mhm.
fly.
That was the show.
I loved it. But those are my
Such a great
favorites.
show. That was like
Mhm.
the golden age of cartoons.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
And now and then the art just kind of like is not there anymore. I feel like I turn on and most of the cartoons just
Though
CGI.
X-Men 97 is great. And you should watch
yeah,
it.
but they're copying what we had.
That's
I'm talking
true.
about like the new
But the
stuff that
art's
comes out.
well, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar.
It's not exactly the same. But
Ah.
there was a whole debacle online about how her butt is not as big or
Yeah,
something.
Rogue doesn't have as many curves or something like that.
Yeah,
but
Rogue had all the curves. All
Yep.
of them did. I think nowadays I watch a lot of anime. So it kind of like started in Sailor Moon and now it's definitely grasped out on
Did
that
you
side.
see how like that one cartoon opened you to a whole nother
Oh,
culture?
and
Like
I
if
left it
only
alone.
everybody were so open minded.
Well, wait,
I'm
We'll probably have a weeb episode at some point.
I'm just
We'll
now
have to
getting
have you
into
on.
it. What is your favorite anime?
Honestly, and I'm probably gonna get some criticism to it because it's kind of new, but I love Solo Leveling. That is
Solo
probably
Leveling is so good.
it's one of my
So
seriously,
good.
I can watch it like 20 times over, and just because I don't want to look at TV, but I'm gonna play it in the background because I already know what's gonna happen, but I still get caught up in what's going on.
It's I just got
definitely.
into anime. I
Yeah.
used to criticize it like crazy. But I just got into it and I've watched several at this point, and Solo Leveling by far is the best one. And
It's
I am also like including Attack on
Are we
Titan in
starting?
that.
Are we
Attack
starting a
on
second?
Titan is
Are we starting a second
amazing.
episode here?
Well, so if we do an anime episode, Allie,
Demon Slayer, all of that. Oh my
if
goodness.
we do an anime episode, you gotta come. So
I'm there.
awesome.
Let me just
Alright,
say,
well,
like,
Thank
wait,
y'all for
wait.
being here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you for having us.
Cool.
Thank
See
you.
y'all.
Just be
It
open
was
to
Thank you so much,
Allie.
conversation.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Buck, you already
See ya.
know you got to get out of my burrow.
Shut up. I'm staying this time. All right.
See ya.
Down and down the rabbit hole.